second, but I want to talk more about a general thing that I've been doing recently, which is taking my 3DS to the gym and using it to basically help me doing exercise by focusing my attention on that while actually getting stuff done, right? And so I basically just thought up this idea when I saw this guy sitting on the bicycle reading a book, and I was like, okay, I mean, that seems like something I could do if I were to take a game system in here, and maybe people would give me weird looks and whatever, but to be honest, I don't care. Like, at this point, I literally don't give a fuck, and if there is something that I can use to help me get more engaged with exercising and going to the gym and staying there for longer, I thought the 3DS was a good option. So, Bali, I performed a number of tests to see what the best conditions were for playing 3DS at the gym, and I shall now report back to you my findings. So I talked to you about this a little bit, and so the first thing I did was go on the treadmill, right? And treadmill is a sweaty affair. I basically have been going in the sense of like running for 10 minutes and then taking a bit of a break and then running 10 more and taking a break and basically going as long as I can on the treadmill. And so I ran for 10 minutes and I had worked up a sweat. I picked up my 3DS. I was playing a bit of Fire Emblem Revelation, and all of a sudden, a lot of sweat starts pouring from my hand onto the system. Now, before I picked it up, it didn't have that much sweat on it. It felt like it was kind of okay. I don't know the physics behind that.
Gradual build-up coming from internally.
Well, I don't know what the physics are, but I feel like if you touch an object that hasn't been at the same temperature as you, suddenly
palms,
it starts like diffusing heat onto it, right?
The funny thing about treadmills is that people get so sweaty on them because you're running on the spot. If you're running outside, the breeze and the moving forward, it actually evaporates most of the sweat off. So treadmills end up being especially sweaty.
I guess because there wasn't really much airflow from that area as well. Like, I was in a place which didn't really have much AC just blasting down on me, so that didn't help either, obviously. But so yeah, basically after 5 minutes of trying to play a bit of Fire Emblem while I kind of walked off before I did my next 10, it just got soaking like really badly. It was just like sweat everywhere, and I was like, okay, this can't be good for the system. Like, this seems like this is probably going to do some damage. I hope this water doesn't like get anywhere into the internal parts, because that would be a tragedy if I lost my 3DS to my own sweat, right? That would be a bit absurd. But I kind of wiped it off and put it down, and then I didn't pick it up for the next round. So then I tested out a bit of the weights machine stuff, and that seemed to work okay. I basically was doing like sets of 10 like different weights machines, and after in between my rest period between them, I'd pick it up and play a bit and then put it down again. Obviously that doesn't work too well for something like, say, Phoenix Wright, where it's a very story-based thing that I want to be engaged with for a long period of time. But I was playing Fire Emblem when I was doing kind of this test phase, so it worked out well, because I was just doing a couple of turns and then just moving back and forth.
I'm interested to know, like, when you were on the weights machines or something and you're having a break and playing it on the seat, were people like looking at you wondering like, hey, I want to actually use that machine. That guy's just sitting there playing 3DS on the machine I want to use. Like,
it wasn't too busy. It wasn't too busy that time. So it was okay. But yeah, I could imagine people being like, I feel like there's this stigma still today, even though obviously gaming is more mainstream, like there still seems to be this stigma about dedicated games devices that there isn't with someone who's on their phone playing a fucking Candy Crush or something, right? Like, because there are loads of girls in there on their phones cycling and doing that stuff, and what are they doing? Probably Facebook, probably something, they might be playing some stupid game, but no one judges you for using your phone. But people will definitely, I think, still judge you for using a 3DS, right? It's a hard thing that society needs to get over at some point, but I don't know if it'll happen or not. So the weights was okay. It was very much stop and start. So I think that's kind of a thing that you have to have the right game for, and I think Fire Emblem is the right game for that because it's turn-based, and you can just kind of do a couple and then give it a shot and then put it down. So after that, I was going onto the bikes, and the bike seemed to be a really solid option because you're not working up an intense sweat, but you're also burning a decent amount of calories, and I feel like on the bike, I can go for much longer periods of time. So I can basically allow myself to do half an hour, 40 minutes of the bike, not feel too bad about it, also have burned a lot of calories, not sweat too much, and also have my hands free. I mean, you can hold on to the bars, right? Like, that's obviously, if you're going for intense biking, you need to be doing that. But the way I was going, I was just kind of going a decent pace, had my legs just going around, and I was using my 3DS, and it worked pretty well. So after all that, like going through these different things, it seems like the bike is the best option. Obviously, the rowing machine I can't do anything about because I'm using my hands to pull that thing. So the bike worked well. The one thing with the bike is that it hurts my ass fucking so much. We actually recently, when I was away in Scotland for this weekend in Troon, we did a bike ride round this island, which was pretty big actually, but I was able to get round it pretty well without having to feel tired or anything. I was surprised, to be honest, like, because I'm not in the best shape, but biking around wasn't a problem. The only issue I found was that my ass was so sore after doing that for that period of time.
It's one of those things though that after a few times you just strengthen all the muscles in your ass and it doesn't hurt at all.
I guess it does, but like it may be the similar thing to guitar players, because I think the one thing after I haven't played guitar for a while is my fingers start getting really raw, you know? Yeah. And I think that just doesn't go away. Like, you're just going to have to deal with the fact that your fingers are going to be raw when you're playing guitar. Maybe it depends on your intensity. I don't know. But that's my feeling about bikes anyway. But here's the good news, is that there are bike machines in the gym which aren't necessarily the same as just your standard bikes. And they obviously sit down, and you can basically sit at an angle and have your legs still doing the same movement, the same action, while being able to have a more comfortable seating position. And so there are only a couple of those in the gym that I'm at, and so I went on one of those, tried that out, and I was able to go for a much longer period of time. I did like an hour solid, which was great, and all the while I was playing some Phoenix Wright. So I got through like a whole day of a trial, was really focused on the story and just getting engaged in that. I wasn't listening to podcasts at that time, I was just plugged into my 3DS, and it worked really well. So I found that my findings basically are, if you want to go to the gym and play 3DS, try and stick to something like a bike, because I do find that the treadmill you need more focus for. I mean, it depends how fast you're going. If you're just going for maybe like an intense hill climb, like putting the incline up and like going a bit slower, you could probably hold it in your hand at the same time. But when you're running, you're just flailing about too much to be able to do it properly.
What if you just walked on the treadmill really fast for like an hour and a half, and you could look down at your 3DS?
I could do that. That is a potential option as well. I don't know if it would be better than the bike. I'm not sure like how it would work in that sense, but I might try that out and see. But I've been like multiple times the last couple of weeks, and it's been working nicely because it allows me to get two birds with one stone, right? Like, I'm not just sitting at home playing 3DS. And I'm not just going to the gym and feeling like I'm not really accomplishing anything else at the same time. Like, and as someone who listens to a lot of podcasts and does stuff at the same time, this is like right up my alley. It is absolutely something that is engaging to me. So I recommend that if you're having trouble going to the gym, you know, staying a long time, try it out. I think that it's a worthwhile endeavor, and I enjoyed doing it. If you enjoyed this discussion and would like to hear more, consider subscribing to us on YouTube and following the podcast playlist. You can also find us on iTunes and various other places. Follow us on Twitter at TNL Podcast and email us thisnintendolife@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.